Josh McAdams turns around a fastball and sends it over the wing master. Bye-bye baseball. A walk-off home run from Josh McAdams. this season, and that includes free gifts for social events, free gifts for competition. Each winner also will receive an exclusive club member's t-shirt, a pair of high-eye doctor sunglasses, a Batman Buddies drawstring bag, a chance to throw a first pitch, plus much more. Purchase my eye doctor Batman Buddies membership today, right at the front gates.
Welcome back inside Regency Furniture Stadium. Andrew Banstra alongside Stevie Bowen as we take you into Game 2 of a twin bill right here at your home of the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, Regency Furniture Stadium. Of course, Game 1 was a thrilling victory for Southern Maryland. It was a tightly contested contest from start to finish. Of course, Stevie and I talked about the magic number in the game being 4. Southern Maryland now advancing to 11-3 when scoring 4 or more runs here on the 2021 season. It was a 5-4 victory. Josh McAdams with a unbelievable home run over the left field mini monster with 1 down in the bottom of the 7th. First pitch is scheduled for 8:25. We're a couple minutes late, but hey, it's a doubleheader. Things happen, and it's to be expected. The Blue Crabs will put Kolton Mahoney on the mound. The right-hander is a Utah native from Layton, Utah. And he'll come out looking to keep things going for Southern Maryland, who is now 8-2 in their last 10 games, finding themselves at a 12-13 record here in the season. Let's give you tonight's starting lineups here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Matter of fact, why don't we send it to a quick break before coming back here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Welcome back inside the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Andrew Banstra alongside Stevie Bowen once again as we run through tonight's starting lineups right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Southern Maryland puts Kolton Mahoney on the mound. He'll be facing off against a fellow right-hander in the form of Bruce Bell. The lineup for the York Revolution reads as follows. They'll lead off with the center fielder, number 1, Darian Sanford. Batting second, the shortstop, number 2, Jan Sanchez. Batting third, the first baseman, number 33, Carlos Castro, as Darian Sanford steps into the box. Batting fourth, the right fielder, J.C. Encarnacion. Jack Kenley bats fifth, followed by the left fielder, James Harris. John Sansone bats seventh. Andrew Dundon bats eighth, and Lennon Rodriguez bats ninth. As for your Blue Crabs this evening, starting lineup reads as follows. Batting first, the second baseman, Kent Blackstone. Batting second, the shortstop, Michael Baca. Batting fourth, the first baseman, make that batting third, the center fielder, Zach Collier, as a strike crosses. Alex Crosby bats fourth, followed by the hero of game number 1, Josh McAdams, who hit a walk-off home run. Batting sixth is Joe DeLuca. Batting seventh, Jake Lucci. Batting eighth, Jake Marshall, and rounding out the lineup, Will Decker. Darian Sanford works a 3-1 count from Kolton Mahoney, and very similarly to what we said, of course, about Austin Glorious, is that this is an individual that if he's able to keep it in the strike zone will perform extremely well. Of course, to his credit, as he walks the first batter, Darian Sanford, but to his credit, I mean, working with an electronic strike zone for the first time in your career is no easy challenge. So you give Mahoney, of course, the benefit of the doubt through the beginning of the season. The numbers for Kolton Mahoney to this point on the year. The right-hander 0-1 with a 14.73 ERA. 12 earned and 7 1/3 innings pitched. This is just his second start of the season. Darian Sanford goes on the pitch, firing down to second is Joe DeLuca, not in time. And just like that, a runner in scoring position. But if it's of any comfort to the Blue Crabs fans out there, this is exactly how the first game started, Stevie.
And as you said, we already know what's going to happen. Darian Sanford on the base path, he's going to try to steal an extra base or two, and that's just exactly what happened. So I wouldn't freak out too much if you're if you're Southern Maryland in the start of this second game.
Chip shot into center field. That ball has a chance of landing and does in front of Zach Collier, who barehands it, throws it to third as Sanford slides in feet first into third base. Runners on the corners with none down, and that's truly just a well-placed baseball. You can't fault Kolton Mahoney for that.
No, you really can't fault anyone on that play. That was just a good piece of hitting by Jan Sanchez.
Entering play, Mahoney has allowed 13 hits in 7 1/3 innings, walking 8 while striking out 4. Mentioned that he had started one game to this point in the season. Run through the numbers in that start in just a moment. Stevie will give those to you. Matter of fact, I'll give them to you right after this pitch. Mahoney's one start this year. Back on June the 2nd at the Lexington Legends. He went 2 2/3, allowing 8 runs all earned, 8 hits, 5 walks, 2 strikeouts. Mahoney now facing off against the 3-hole hitter Carlos Castro. A sinker is in there for strike number 1. Castro had a great game 1. You can't, it's to be expected at this point. This is a guy that has been filthy, for a lack of a better term, this season in the Atlantic League. He is undoubtedly the most successful hitter that the Atlantic League has seen to this point in the season. Castro, a .449 hitter on the year. A catcher by trade, playing first base in Game 1 and Game 2 of this doubleheader. A long look in for Kolton Mahoney. Before the 0-1, a check over to first, back safely is a diving Jan Sanchez. As for Castro, the extra bases have been pretty remarkable for the catcher, as a bouncing fastball about 58 feet hits off the catcher Joe DeLuca's chest protector and goes into foul territory. Darian Sanford swipes home, and these first innings have not been too kind to Southern Maryland so far in this homestand.
Yeah, Mahoney really just spiked that ball a little too much on it as it bounced away. DeLuca really couldn't do much there. Did a nice job trying to bounce in front of it, but it just hit off that top of the shoulder.
Castro had a 6-game hit streak broken last night, but before that, he had homered in 5 of his last 6 games. He has 7 home runs on the year, 28 RBIs on the year. Pretty remarkable numbers. A runner in scoring position. Castro fouls one over our heads right here in the Bayonet press box, and the count 1-2. Look at the league leaders to this point in the season here in the Atlantic League. In terms of RBIs, nobody comes close to Carlos Castro to this point on the season. The next highest would be Courtney Hawkins, a former Sugarland Skeeter. He has 24 RBIs on the year. In fact, there's only 4 individuals in the Atlantic League with more than 20 RBIs, and Castro has 28. The result of this at-bat will be nothing of the sort, says Kolton Mahoney. It's a beautiful off-speed pitch as Castro down on one knee, striking out for out number 1.
A nice job by Mahoney going down and away with that pitch, getting Castro looking at it. As we know, last game, Castro 2 for 2 with 2 strikeouts on his line, as he's really just up there swinging.
So Mahoney with a much-needed strikeout. A runner in scoring position, that's Jan Sanchez, and up comes the right fielder, number 13, J.C. Encarnacion. I must say, Stevie, when I first read the lineup for the Revolution, last time the Revs were here, Encarnacion was not in the lineup, and while I knew that there was an individual named J.C. Encarnacion on their team, I was unable to not hope that it was Edwin Encarnacion. Of course, a long-time major leaguer, multiple-time All-Star who just so happens to be a free agent right now. Ball and a strike the count here in the first inning. 1-0 the score. Jan Sanchez with a moderate lead at second base, but Mahoney needs to reset with his catcher, Joe DeLuca.
We've talked about it, this 1 and 2 guys for the Revolution lineup. Either one of them able to take any base at a time, so you always got to be on alert when those guys are on the base paths.
Yeah, Jan Sanchez was a fantastic addition by Mark Mason in the front office of the York Revolution. That's an individual that has been unbelievably successful to this point in the Atlantic League season. And, you know, not to mention, the talent pool has been hard-pressed to find, considering a lot of guys have retired since the year off in 2019, and the Atlantic League has seen an unprecedented amount of player signings by MLB organizations. There has been 53 players signed by outside organizations, 58 from the MLB. We haven't even had 30 days of the season go by. So that means that we're averaging somewhere in the range of 1.65 players signed by the MLB every single day, which is pretty mind-blowing, honestly.
You know, you kind of look at this independent league baseball, you think of it as, you know, towards the lower end of the talent, but that's just really not the case. It's a lot of guys coming out here working hard, trying to get to that next level, and a lot of these guys can hold their own up there as well.
You know, with that being said, we want to bring up a guy that very near and dear to our hearts. We mentioned it in the last game, but Mickey Janis, a former Southern Maryland Blue Crab back in 2014. I mean, this is what independent baseball is all about, is a story like Mickey Janis. He's a 5'9" knuckleballer who pitched for the Blue Crabs in 2014, and at the age of 33, Mickey Janis made his MLB debut a couple of nights ago for who else but the Baltimore Orioles, as it looks like Kolton Mahoney's found his groove. Yet another strikeout. You know, Stevie, in the Atlantic League, it's very uncommon to have 5 starters that are going to push every single night. Mm-hmm. And certainly Southern Maryland has 4. Sam Burton, any team would be happy to have Sam Burton as their 5th starter. There's no question about that. He's a guy that his numbers don't reflect his performance. I think he's pitched, fairly well to this point in the season. But if you're able to maybe put in a guy like Kolton Mahoney as a 6th starter, having 5-6 guys that can really put you in a good position to win every night is something that truly not many, if at all, any Atlantic League teams have.
And, you know, I think it's a good idea to use Kolton Mahoney. You know, he's the kind of guy, he's not going to last super, super deep into his start, but you have the relief to come up behind him as well if he does start to struggle in the game. So I think it's better to use him in this other starting position for today.
Fastball inside, spinning like a top is Joe DeLuca, who comes away with that baseball. Looking at the numbers for Kolton Mahoney's career, they've been pretty impressive. He's a right-hander, 6'1", 195. Reached as high as the AAA level, and it wasn't just a cup of coffee at the AAA level either. He's a guy that made it in multiple seasons to that level of play. He did so as a member of the Miami Marlins organization as recently as 2019. His career at the minor league affiliate level, and Stevie, to your point about just how high of a level the Atlantic League is as Jack Kenley swings through a pitch. Of course, Mahoney with the 14.73 ERA this year, but in nearly 500 innings pitched in the affiliated ranks, he had a 3.46 ERA over the course of his career, but that certainly also speaks to the fact that he hasn't played baseball since 2019, and there's going to be some rust with that. That's something that I am fairly positive that every single Atlantic leaguer, and for that matter minor leaguer, has faced at some point this year, wouldn't you think?
No, I agree with you. You know, taking a year off from baseball is hard to come back into it. And so far, I think we've seen a lot of good baseball being played from these guys that didn't get the chance to play last year.
And to kind of emphasize that point, Oftentimes we think of professional athletes as these superhuman figures that can do no wrong, of course, but as Kolton Mahoney proves that he may just be that as he strikes out his third straight batter. But to my point, imagine whoever, I'll take myself for example. I didn't do my job in terms of broadcasting for a year, and my first couple of, still to this point, I'm still getting back into it. You could say that about any job. If you take a year off, it's going to be a little bit tough to come back. Nonetheless, Kolton Mahoney came back from a difficult start in that first inning. He allowed one Revolution run, struck out the side as we take you into the bottom of the first inning here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Greg Ferreira, and you are listening to Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Hey, Blue Crabs fans. Make sure to visit the All-American Steakhouse and Sports Theater at 35 St. Patrick's Drive, right here in Waldorf, for some great food with great friends. Their steaks are fresh, hand-cut, in-house daily, as well as many other fresh seafood, chicken, and beef options. They offer outdoor and indoor dining, available each and every day, along with the same great menu to go if you would like. Please visit them online at www.theallamericansteakhouse.com. That's www.theallamericansteakhouse.com. You can also visit them on Facebook or Instagram. They have daily specials that you just can't pass up. Thank you, Blue Crabs fans. When you need a win on the road, don't get left stranded. Make AAA part of your roster, and you'll always have someone on deck ready to get you home. AAA also offers car care, insurance, and travel services, and has stores conveniently located for Blue Crabs fans in Brandywine, Crofton, and Alexandria. Don't forget to ask them about membership discounts for military and first responders. Please visit AAA.com to learn more or to find a AAA location near you.
Into the bottom of the first we go. Southern Maryland donning their white home jerseys with the Crabs across the front. Got to be honest, Stevie, I'm a little surprised we haven't seen them in the red Maryland-themed jerseys. Those were worn nearly every night for the first couple of weeks of the season. But
I know, that seems to be the home jersey that they decide to wear normally at these games.
And especially, I don't have the specific stat to back this up, but to my recollection, I believe that Austin Glorious has worn the red Maryland jersey in every single one of his starts up until now. Of course, the starting pitcher gets to pick the uniform the team wears. As Kent Blackstone lines one up the middle, Darian Sanford thinks about coming in to try to grab it off the ground, but it bounces in front of him. Leadoff single for Kent Blackstone.
A great swing there from Blackstone, and an even better play out in center field by Darian Sanford, realizing that even with his speed, he's not going to be able to get to that ball. If he had dove for that ball, I think we would have seen an inside the park home run from Kent Blackstone.
Yeah, it would have been close. There's no question about that. I think that the only thing keeping me from unequivocally agreeing is Darian Sanford's speed. But then again, and for what he has in speed, he, to be perfectly frank, lacks in arm strength. Fastball high and away misses as Michael Baca steps into the box for his first time in game number 2. Looking around the Atlantic League, a high-scoring affair at Caramont Health Park in Gastonia, North Carolina. The Honey Hunters on top of the Ducks 10-7. And that is certainly a game that the Blue Crabs should have their eyes on, Stevie. Of course, Southern Maryland, I hate to even bring it up, but Southern Maryland would be in first place if they win this game and Long Island ends up losing their game. Would certainly be the first time this season. In fact, it would be the first time since the 2018 season that anytime past the first few games they were in first place. Now, Southern Maryland had a fantastic start to the second half in 2019. 13-4, but they were never in first place. I think it's always important and beneficial to try to remind fans as much as possible how the Atlantic League playoff structure works. The way that it works, of course, is that in the first half of play, the first half of the season, and this season that accounts for 60 games, the strikeout Blackstone now caught in a pickle. He tries avoiding the tag and does. Wow, what a play by Blackstone.
And a pretty poorly turned out base running error by Kent Blackstone. I don't know if he was expecting the hit and run to work or he was expecting to lay down a bunt, something like that, but he was able to get back to first base after dodging that tag.
Yeah, and I'm surprised you didn't see a little bit of an argument there from Mark Mason. I think there may have been one to be made about going outside the baseline. Nonetheless, I misspoke. That was not strike number 3. Baca still at the plate. A slider off the outer edge, but to finish the point about how the playoff structure works, essentially the league is divided into 2 halves. You got the North Division and the South Division, and the season is divided into 2 halves, the first half and the second half. The winner in each division in each half goes to the playoffs. So let's say the Blue Crabs win the first half in the North Division, and the Ducks win the second half in the North Division. While those 2 teams will play a 5-game playoff series to see who it is that goes on to the Atlantic League Championship Series. So, I think that's always something that is a really good thing for competitive play, as Blackstone will get attended to by athletic trainer Lauren Eck over there in the Blue Crabs third base dugout.
Yeah, it looks like Blackstone might have just scraped his hand up a little bit while he was diving back to first. As you know, he's had to slide and dive back to first base so far just 3 times in this Baca at bat. So, would be surprised to see a couple scrapes and bruises on there.
Looks like Blackstone's going to be all right, and he runs back out towards first base. Now, Stevie, the important question is, what is your role, hopefully, going to be in this money drop ordeal that we talked about? And explain to anybody that may be listening what it is.
So, for those of you that don't know, tonight here at Regency Furniture Stadium, we have what is called our money drop, where after this second game, a helicopter is going to fly over our stadium and just kind of float over the outfield, and it is going to drop a big old trash can full of tennis balls. And all of those tennis balls has a corresponding letter and a couple numbers after it. All of those numbers and letters correspond to a certain number written on an envelope. And when all those balls get dropped, me and a bunch of the other interns are going to be out there trying to spread them out as much as possible throughout the outfield. And then all the fans that bought a money ball ticket are going to line up around the warning track, and they're going to have 20 seconds to go run and grab as many of those balls as you can. And those numbers and letters that are written on the ball are equal to a certain number dollar amount that's written on those envelopes. And people are going to walk out of here with a good sum of money.
That was a fantastic thesis statement about how Moneyball works. I certainly could not have said that as concisely myself, although conciseness is certainly not my strong suit. First pitch to Zach Collier, swung on and missed. And, if you could pick anybody in the Blue Crabs lineup to be up right now, it would be either Zach Collier or Alex Crosby. And barring a triple play ball, both of them will come up to bat in this inning. Not enough people, Stevie, in my opinion, are talking about the absurd amount of triple plays that have happened in the MLB this year.
There has been a overwhelmingly number of triple plays in the MLB this season.
There's going to be like a Tim Kirchin stat. I guarantee it. You heard it here first. In the next week, Tim Kirchin or even MLB Random Stats is going to say, this is the most triple plays we've seen since, who knows?
1973, when there was 9 teams doing this.
As Zach Collier rips one to right field, back goes the right fielder and catches it on a hop. Here comes Kent Blackstone, a trip at second base, we'll take it. How about Kent Blackstone showing off the wheels, tagging from second.
And that is heads-up base running and heads-up coaching down by Ray Ortega in the third base side, as he knows that's the deepest part of the park that Collier just hit it to. Blackstone had enough time to get around those bases. Very good call on sending him home to tie this game up.
They're going to check on second, but of course you have to get on the mound. This is one of those silly baseball rules, in my opinion. You have to get on the mound, step off, and then throw to first. So that's exactly what Bruce Bell will do.
Now, that's because you technically have to start the next play, correct?
Right.
And that is started once he reaches that rubber.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So now he'll get on. He will take his sign. He'll step off, and he'll throw back to second. We'll see what the second base umpire says. They'll say Kent Blackstone did not leave early. And to be completely honest, I was unable to see that myself.
I was more focused on the hit at that point. I was not paying attention to Kent Blackstone there.
So the score tied up at 1 apiece. And now yet another pickle. Good job by Bell trying to not allow this situation to get out of hand once again. And we have seen some awfully unique base running in this contest and even in this inning alone, Stevie. I mean, first Kent Blackstone gets into a pickle, and then he somehow avoids a tag, gets to second, and then tags from second and scores, which basically never happens. Next thing you know, we have yet another pickle, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do if you're Bruce Bell. Just run at the runner. Just don't give it up until you basically force the runner to make a decision. First offering to Alex Crosby outside.
You know, you really just said it right there. That's your best option when you're the one with the ball in a pickle situation. Force the runner to make their own decision. Because 9 times out of 10, as soon as they make that move, you're already prepared, ready to go.
The pitch from Bell on its way. Crosby watches it miss high and outside. Bottom one, 1-1 the score. Crosby watches the 3-0 pitch cross the strike zone. Alex Crosby currently riding a 10-game hit streak. In the excitement that we experienced with Blackstone tagging from second, I didn't get to mention that Zach Collier has hit a home run and 2 balls about as far as you can go without going over the fence already in this doubleheader, and we're only in the 8th inning of play here today.
You know, I would not be surprised. That's a very good point, Andrew. I caught a glimpse of that as well. I would not be surprised if we saw another Zach Collier home run today. He is really just seeing the ball well and putting everything he has behind it.
What I am surprised to see, however, is a mound visit in the first mound. Stevie, anything you could think of outside of the walks that would make Mark Mason come out and speak with his starter?
I mean, honestly, no. Unless all he's telling his pitcher is to just completely pitch around this guy because of this hit we saw at the bottom of the 7th in the first game. But other than that, I really can't think of anything.
As for Bruce Bell in his 3rd season of professional baseball, the Atlantic League, his highest level played. This is only his 2nd start of the season. He's allowed 18 runs, 13 of them earned in 13 1/3 innings so far this season. The walks haven't necessarily been a major issue of concern. He's averaging about 1 every other inning. It's really more the hits. Of course, when you try to dissect any pitcher, you look at their ERA and their WHIP, or at least I do. Certainly people would look at more advanced statistics than that. As McAdams waves and misses at a fastball, 1-1 the count, but the whip for Bell is up there. It's nearing 2, but the walk numbers aren't bad. Where the issue comes into play is he's allowed 19 hits in 13 innings of work. You add on 7 strikeouts to that, and you're in hot water if you're Bell. Fastball in there, looking on the outside corner, 1-2 the count. McAdams, of course, in his last plate appearance, came back in game 1. He had the walk-off home run. This time he goes the other way with it. Good patience by Josh McAdams. He's a guy you generally... we've got another base-running blunder as Josh McAdams is now stuck in between first and second. And here goes Josh McAdams. He runs over to second base, and I gotta say, Stevie, that is unequivocally the most bizarre half inning of baseball I've seen. What do you got?
The only thing I was thinking of was McAdams had a good view of that ball in right field. He could clearly see that it went under that right fielder's glove, and I think that's where Crosby's issue was. I could watch him turn around, and I think he saw that the ball had gone under his glove, but he didn't think he had enough time to get going, and Josh McAdams already halfway to second base, and they just couldn't do anything from there.
So the Blue Crabs score 1 run to tie things up in the bottom of the first inning, but it doesn't come without its rarity. There was 4 unique base running plays in the inning. One of them, first Josh McAdams gets in a pickle, Kent Blackstone gets in a pickle, and then tags and scores from second on a fly ball from Zach Collier. Next thing you know, Michael Baca's in a unique pickle situation, and then Josh McAdams has the same thing happen to him. You know, Stevie, the thing I love about my job, among many things, is that you never know what's going to happen when you come to work. I certainly wouldn't have expected that to happen today, and for that matter, I wouldn't have expected Pinch to be running across the infield. But here we are. We'll take you into the top of this second inning when we return on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Greg Ferreira, and you are listening to Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Hey, Blue Crabs fans, make sure to visit the All-American Steakhouse and Sports Theater at 35 St. Patrick's Drive, right here in Waldorf, for some great food with great friends. Their steaks are fresh, hand-cut, in-house daily, as well as many other fresh seafood, chicken, and beef options. They offer outdoor and indoor dining, available each and every day, along with the same great menu to go if you would like. Please visit them online at www.theallamericansteakhouse.com. That's www.theallamericansteakhouse.com. You can also visit them on Facebook or Instagram. They have daily specials that you just can't pass up. Thank you, Blue Crabs fans.
When you need a win on the road, don't get left stranded. Make AAA part of your roster.
Into the top of the second inning of baseball we go here in Game 2. A very tight pair of games here today after a couple of not so tight and not so fascinating games in York. Of course, the Blue Crabs won Game 1 and Game 2. There was a little bit of intrigue, of course, particularly in Game 1, but Game 3 was a defensive battle, which some certainly enjoy. Myself, I like a good mix of offense and defense, and there's no better example of that than what we saw in Game 1 of this twin bill here today at Regency Furniture Stadium. It was a fantastic baseball game, and of course I say that coming from a Southern Maryland Blue Crabs perspective, as Josh McAdams hit a walk-off home run to end Game 1 and advance the Blue Crabs into sole possession of second place. Kolton Mahoney back out onto the mound for his second inning of work. First man he faces off against here in Game 2 comes in the form of James Harris. Mahoney's got his sign. The right-hander sets the delivery. A two-seamer, and the umpire certainly thought that was a strike. He ends up taking that back, and now Joe DeLuca's got some questions with good reason. What'd you see there?
So from my angle here, it looked like the pitch was right down the middle, but I'm not sure that's what the home plate umpire got the call from the electronic scoreboard.
Yeah, that was kind of my synopsis of it as well. I think he certainly thought it was a strike, but it wasn't called that. Zach Collier gets on his horse. Wow, he is doing it on both sides of the baseball. He has been tremendous for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. I mean, he went from 0 to 15 miles an hour over the course of maybe 10 yards. He put his motor into high gear as Kolton Mahoney has really settled into a groove here in the second inning. And, I really like the move by Stan Clyburn putting Mahoney back out onto the mound. There's no question that he's a guy that has what it takes to be more than just a little successful in this league. He could be one of the premier players in this Atlantic League, in my opinion, but he just didn't have a good start to the year. So give him another chance as a starter, and he's been really good after allowing a run on a wild pitch in the first, struck out the side, and now one quick out in the second.
You see that a lot, especially in the Atlantic League, and once you get around these independent ball leagues, there's a lot of guys, they're either really young guys looking for their start, or they're some veterans that may have not had a good stretch in the pros, and they're just looking to get back into it. And, it's going to take them time to do it. But as you said, I wouldn't be surprised to see Kolton Mahoney kind of turn it on and end up becoming a pretty solid pitcher.
Mahoney gets back onto the mound, working out of the stretch. Beautiful off-speed pitch. Has John Sansone off balance. And the count of 1-2 strikes. Top of the second, we're knotted up at 1 apiece. Of course, both of these games in this twin bill are 7-inning games. Chopper to the left side. McAdams throws across the infield. Make that out number 2, no problem for Mahoney.
Now, I feel it's something we should point out. After that walk to Darian Sanford to start off this game, Kolton Mahoney has yet to let a batter get to 3 balls in the at-bat. After letting up that first walk, he's done a great job hitting his spots and keeping everything in the strike zone.
The count, fastball inside. Now 2 balls, no strikes the count. Mahoney waiting the next delivery and the pitch. A cutter in there for strike number 1. You mentioned it, Stevie. He's really reined in his control to this point. It would be a massive boost if he was able to retire the man at the plate right now, number 6, Andrew Dundon. Waiting on deck should we need it is the catcher, number 4, Lennon Rodriguez. Dundon and Rodriguez did not start in Game 1, although we did see a little bit of Dundon in Game 1. In a pinch hitting situation, 3 balls, 1 strike the count. Mahoney set. Curveball just about strike number 3, but instead it's ball number 4. And Dundon reaches base on a free pass, giving way to the catcher, Lennon Rodriguez. The scoop on Lennon Rodriguez, he was just signed 9 days ago, back on June the 16th. Fastball high and tight, 1-0 the count. Lennon, in his 6th professional season, spent his first 4 years in the Philadelphia Phillies organization. Played for the Aberdeen Ironbirds in 2019. Was in the Empire League of professional baseball before joining the York Revolution, as Michael Baca flips it off to a covering Kent Blackstone at second base. For a quick out number 3, solid work from Kolton Mahoney gets us into the bottom of the second inning. 1-1 the score right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Carlos Diaz, and you are listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Good.
American Radiology is the clear choice for all of your medical imaging needs. With locations in Charles and Calvert counties, they offer a full range of imaging services. Some of their latest innovations included 3D mammography and wide-open MRIs for our claustrophobic patients. For your convenience, they even offer extended weekday hours and Saturdays. For more information or to schedule an appointment, visit their website at AmericanRadiology.com. The Charles County Department of Health encourages you to get the COVID-19 vaccination today. You can get it all over Southern Maryland or no matter where you are across the United States. Vaccinations are offered right here at Regency Furniture Stadium with no appointment needed. Charles County Department of Health and the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs urge you to take one for the team and get the vaccine.
Monkey.
This is Dario Pisano, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
So Dario Pisano welcomes us into the bottom of the second inning of baseball. Of course, Pisano, a much-needed bat in the Southern Maryland lineup. He's been a staple at the 3 spot. But Zach Collier has filled his shoes awfully well. Hit a homer back in Game 1, a couple of warning track shots, one of which drove in a run, which is how we get to a 1-1 score here in this bottom of the second inning on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Joe DeLuca leads us off here in the bottom of the second. The switch-hitting catcher comes in from the left side to face off against Bruce Bell, who, hopefully for both sides, sees a little bit of a more traditional second inning as opposed to the first. That was, again, a very bizarre sequence of events that we saw back in that first inning, Stevie.
You know, a lot of base running, I don't know if you'd say errors, maybe just aggressiveness coming from the Blue Crabs, and a lot more than we've seen so far this season.
As Joe DeLuca singles up the middle, DeLuca with a healthy round around first base, but will stay put. A leadoff single, and that's how we've gotten each of the first 2 innings to start offensively for Southern Maryland to this point. And that makes way for Jake Lucci. Lucci had what looked like potentially a home run that would have been a go-ahead home run back in the bottom of the 6th inning of game number 1. It ended up hitting off the very top of that SOMDBlueCrabs.com sign in the mini monster in left field. Nonetheless, you know, Lucci's a guy that has not been an everyday player of late, but he seems to have the ability to come through with timely doubles, particularly here at home.
You know, we also have to remember that this was a guy at one point held that leadoff spot for a couple of games for this Blue Crabs lineup. You know, he's not a guy that's shy of getting on the base any way he can.
Nice pickoff move over to first from Bell. We talked a little bit about Bell's numbers for his career. The right-hander finds himself in his 3rd professional season. He actually pitched against Mark Mason in the Empire League this past summer. Of course, basically a different option if you decide not to or don't get the opportunity to go to Venezuela or Mexico or what have you to play winter ball. Actually, Stan Clyburn coaches in that league as well. Takes place in California. 1-1 the count to Jake Lucci. Yet another pickoff move to first. Awfully close. I think Bruce Bell wanted it to be out number one. But Joe DeLuca knows his boundaries and stays put at first.
It looked like Castro off the bat, too, as well. Wanted that to be called and out.
Bell has actually pitched against the Blue Crabs this year. He actually had a 4-pitch ninth inning right here at Regency Furniture Stadium back on June the 8th. That was the first meeting between Southern Maryland and York this season. Going back through the season series to this point, and these are two teams that'll see a lot of each other this year. This right here, the 8th of 25 matchups between these two teams. Go through their season series after the pitch that misses up high. The count 2 balls and a strike, but of course the first 2 games were right here in Waldorf, and they were all Revolution. A combined 24-3 in the 2 games. The Blue Crabs got their stripes in games 3 and 4 of the season series, winning 6-5 and 9-5 respectively. That was on June 23rd and June 24th. They did lose last night. York avoided being swept in the series, but the Blue Crabs have won 3 of their last 4 against the Atlantic League Northern Division rivals. Lucci, number 11 on the back of his jersey. The Texas native works a 3-1 count. Lucci requests time and gets it. Looks like he had something in his eye. Southern Maryland struggled offensively last night in a 2-0 loss, and that was, to be honest, quite the surprise after the offensive explosion that extended over 9 days and 8 games, in which the Blue Crabs scored 68 runs after scoring a total of 43 runs in their previous 14 games. The count, 3 balls, 2 strikes. The payoff pitch on its way from Bell. A long pause before this 3-2 offering. The pitch swung on and missed. DeLuca tries to swipe second. A feet-first dive. He's in there. You don't see catchers swiping bases all that often, but DeLuca gets one into scoring position here with 1 down.
Now, you say that, Andrew. We don't see a lot of catchers trying to take second base, but we also don't see a lot of catchers bunting the ball. And so far, Joe DeLuca has 2 hits on the year just off of bunts alone.
That's true. I think that anything that we know about catchers, and especially 6'5" catchers like Joe DeLuca, we can just throw out the window, because he is gone. He's a unicorn of sorts, and that he can do tons of stuff most catchers cannot, which is incredibly valuable if you're Stan Clyburn and the Blue Crabs.
You know, one might call him an anomaly.
One might. One might indeed. 1-0 the count to Jake Marshall. Will Decker awaits on deck. The go-ahead run in scoring position in the form of Joe DeLuca at second base. Fastball in there for strike number 1 called. The Revs and the Blue Crabs traded runs in the first. York scored a run on a wild pitch where the Blue Crabs brought one in on a sacrifice fly in which Kent Blackstone tagged from second base. Slider misses off the outer edge. 2 balls and a strike the count. We got into it a little bit in game 1, but to give you Jake Marshall's story, he just so happened to be training in the offseason with Kent Blackstone, and Blackstone basically set up the opportunity for Marshall to come have a tryout in spring training. He did not sign a contract with Southern Maryland prior to the season, as generally people do. That was, in fact, the same situation with Jake Lucci, but both of them played well enough and impressed Stan Clyburn enough in spring training that they ended up signing a contract, in fact. Marshall, a 300 hitter entering today's doubleheader. A sinker misses downstairs to make the count 3 balls and a strike. So generally, with a catcher at second, I would say, well, a single might score him, but we did just throw the rule book out the window.
We're just going to say at this point, a single is going to score Joe DeLuca.
Or has the potential. Or maybe let's just say it will. As Stevie, I was unable to see what happened.
We're good. No one got hit off of that foul ball, but that ball was absolutely screaming over to the first base side of the stands.
We are thankful that everybody was safe. Of course, we're all about safe family fun here at Regency Furniture Stadium. Marshall offers it a pitch. It just skims his bat, and we'll get to the backstop to make the count full at 3-2. A little bit of a more long and drawn-out game than we saw in Game 1, but to be perfectly frank, Game 1 wasn't all that fast either. Nice fastball off the outer edge. Bruce Bell reared back and let that one rip. Strike number 3. So 2 away as the Blue Crabs look to bring in a runner in scoring position in the form of Joe DeLuca at second base. Decker, number 23 on the back of his jersey. Certainly not an everyday player for Southern Maryland, but does get the back-to-back starts here today in both games of the doubleheader. Decker flares one to left center. Joe DeLuca rounds third. It'll take a strong throw from the left fielder. What a play! Joe DeLuca and Will Decker trade places. That is just what the doctor ordered if you're Southern Maryland.
By Will Decker, able to take that ball to the other side, perfectly place it right in front of that left fielder, give DeLuca just enough time to score.
So a 2-1 Blue Crabs advantage here in this bottom of the second, a much needed RBI single. And, you know, we talked about not knowing if Joe DeLuca would try to stretch that into coming all the way home. I don't know that there was ever a doubt in his mind. And, I mean, more power to him. It certainly worked. I was just a little surprised given how shallow the ball was. Another surprising element of that play is I thought it was going to be a bang-bang play, but the catcher, Lennon Rodriguez, didn't even apply the tag.
Me too, Andrew. I really thought there was going to be at least some attempt at a play at home. I think Rodriguez had enough time to put that tag on him, but just decided to go to second instead.
It looked as though, I think, I'm just assuming that he just assumed that DeLuca was going to have plenty of time, so he'd rather try to get the run at second. But even if that is the case, a uncommon train of thought, school of thought, I should say. Nonetheless, who am I? I'm not the one out there on the field. There's a reason for that, so I'm just speculating.
As we have both stated many times throughout this season.
Right. We may state our opinions, but
y'all don't have to listen to him.
2-1 the count. As Bruce Bell has now allowed a Blue Crabs run in each of his 2 frames to this point. Southern Maryland with 4 hits, giving them 2 runs, whereas the Revs have 1 hit and 1 run in the contest. Line shot to the right center alley. That'll be another run. Here comes Will Decker rounding third, but even with the immense speed of Kent Blackstone, he's kept to a single.
Either way, great piece of hitting there by Kent Blackstone. That is now 2 times this game he's come through with a single, and he's really done a nice job in this leadoff spot so far.
There's no question about it as Michael Baca comes up to the plate I mean, this has been exactly what you'd ask for if you're a Blue Crabs fan. You've got the bottom of your order coming up, and they come through. 3-1 the score. Southern Maryland on top.
You know, you're always looking for the right guy to put in that 9-hole spot. So once he gets on, it brings up the top of your lineup again, so you can just turn that line over. And when Decker is on, I think he's a great guy to have in that spot, and he just showed it there.
As we keep our eyes on the score in Gastonia, the Ducks seem to be mounting somewhat of a comeback. There was a point when it was an 8-3 Ducks deficit, but while the Honey Hunters are still on top, the score is 10-9. In the bottom of the 6th over in Gaston County, North Carolina. 2-0 the count to Michael Baca, the pitch. Hit hard to the right side. That'll get through as well. Kent Blackstone thinks about advancing to third, but decides to stay put at second. And we have seen a barrage of hits from Southern Maryland's offense to this point, Stevie. How about 5 through the first 5 outs recorded? As Mark Mason, I believe, has seen enough out of his starter, Bruce Bell.
Yeah, I agree. The Blue Crabs lineup knew what they needed to do coming into this game. Just start off hot like they did the last game and really just jump on them early. And they've done a nice job doing that so far in these first 2 innings.
That will be the end of the line for Bruce Bell. Stevie and I will step aside as we prepare to get you a couple of notes on the next man into the game on the other end of this break here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Carlos Diaz, and you are listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Good.
American Radiology is the clear choice for all of your medical imaging needs. With locations in Charles and Calvert counties, they offer a full range of imaging services. Some of their latest innovations included 3D mammography and wide-open MRIs for our claustrophobic patients. For your convenience, they even offer extended weekday hours and Saturdays. For more information or to schedule an appointment, visit their website at AmericanRadiology.com. The Charles County Department of Health encourages you to get the COVID-19 vaccination today. You can get it all over Southern Maryland or no matter where you are across the United States. Vaccinations are offered right here at Regency Furniture Stadium with no appointment needed. Charles County Department of Health and the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs urge you to take one for the team and get the vaccine.
Monkey.
The offense is cooking for Southern Maryland here early. In the bottom of the 2nd, runners on 1st and 2nd with Zach Collier at the plate. Who else would you want if you're Stan Clyburn? Big lead at 2nd from Kent Blackstone. As we welcome a new arm into this contest. Before we get to that, we will keep you updated with this Gastonia Long Island game that could have major complications on the standings once all baseball is done by the night. Gastonia just scored, and they have runners on second and third. This baseball comes up and hits Zach Collier. The umpire letting everybody know that this ball did hit Collier. What happened was, I believe the base runners didn't realize that it clipped his jersey, so Blackstone advances to third because of a throw down to first, which bounced off the ribs of Michael Baca.
Either way, nice aggressive base running there by Blackstone. Nice heads-up base running, but it wasn't needed. That's going to bring up the 4-hole hitter and Alex Crosby, who reached back in the first inning on a walk. So far, just 1 for 4 on the day.
So runners at second, third, and first. Bases loaded for your Blue Crabs. Alex Crosby, a great candidate to really break things open here in this bottom of the second inning if you're Southern Maryland. The pitch in there for strike number 2. My apologies, I don't think we introduced the newcomer into the game for the Revs. It's Andre Cuevas entering the game for the Revolution. The right-hander steps off. Give you a couple of numbers on the newcomer into the game after this pitch. As Alex Crosby fouls one away. As for the right-hander that just came into the game,
and Cuevas, as we see, he's in the game, was signed just hours ago for the York Revolution.
as Alex Crosby belts one to left field. That's going to be a tough play, and it drops. That'll score at least one, a likely 3. 1 run, 2 runs. Here comes the third. Zach Collier strolls into home, and a bases clearing double for Alex Crosby. Southern Maryland with half a dozen runs through the first 2 innings of play. Alex Crosby extends his hit streak to 11 games.
Alex Crosby, you really can't ask for much more besides asking just for a grand slam there. But a beautiful backside double down the left field line. Great piece of hitting there. James Harris over there in left field for York was nowhere near prepared for him to hit the ball down the opposite field line. And now he is just easily strolling into second with 3 RBIs under his belt.
So that brings up Josh McAdams, who, needless to say, was the hero in Game 1. It was a 4-4 game in the bottom of the 7th here in this 7-inning doubleheader. And McAdams pounded one over the left field mini monster to give the Blue Crabs a walk-off home run. In fact, Stevie, that was the first Blue Crabs walk-off of the season.
It definitely came at a good time. Looked like he was first pitch swinging. Absolutely drove that ball out of here in a hurry.
McAdams watches the pitch miss on the outer edge. So all of those runs that were just scored will be credited to the starting pitcher. Of course, other than Zach Collier's run. Collier was hit by a pitch. We can now close the line on Bruce Bell. He goes an inning and 2/3, allows 6 hits, 5 runs all earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and that gives Kolton Mahoney a ton of cushion heading into this top of the 3rd, whenever that might be. 3 balls, no strikes the count. McAdams works his way to a hitter's count at 3 balls and a strike. Right on right matchup. Cuevas sets. He's got his sign from his catcher, Rodriguez. At the belt, the pitch. High and tight. Back-to-back strikes for Cuevas. Makes it a full count. course, the magic number is always 4 for Southern Maryland this year. 11-3 on the year when scoring 4 more runs, and they've already surpassed that number today. The payoff pitch incoming from Cuevas. Fastball drilled down the third base line. It's not going to score a run because of a fantastic defensive effort from John Sansone over there at the hot corner, who gets a probably not needed but unwelcomed reminder as to why they call it the hot corner. That's a very difficult play, but he did all he could in keeping it in the infield. That puts runners at the corners for Joe DeLuca, who comes up with an opportunity to really make this thing wide open.
You know, and you said it there on that last play, Andrew. Nice job by the third baseman, able to just knock that ball down because it was almost for sure going to be a run. Alex Crosby with just enough speed to get by there and score another one, because they might be able to get out of this inning without letting up another run.
Joe DeLuca has other ideas in mind, as he'd like to bring in as many as he possibly can. 2 down here in this bottom of the second. 0-1 the count. Southern Maryland on top 6-1. They've put up 5 runs here in this bottom of the second inning. As for Southern Maryland, that's the 4th most runs they've scored in a single inning to this point in the year. 0-1 swung on and missed outside the glove of Rodriguez, strike number 2. Unequivocally, the most runs the Blue Crabs have scored to this point in the 2021 campaign came against the Gastonia Honey Hunters. Southern Maryland put up 13 runs in an inning. That was all 13 of the runs they'd score in the entire game, but it was clearly all they needed. DeLuca sees a fastball off the inner edge, strike number 3. But the damage has been done offensively for Southern Maryland. 6-1 the score. What a game we've seen for your Blue Crabs to this point. We'll hand the reins over to Stevie Bowen when we return on the other end of this break right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Jay Clucci, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Dyson Building Center is one of the oldest family-owned and operated hardware, lumber, and building supply stores in Southern Maryland. They are located in St. Mary's County on Route 5 in Great Mills. Dyson's has an expansive and diverse inventory to help you with all of your home improvement and project needs. Whether you're new to the world of DIY, a tried and true DIY professional, or somewhere in between, the friendly and experienced staff at Dyson Building Center is ready and willing to help you today. In February of 2020, Regency Furniture Stadium and the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs were given what we view as an honor, being named the 4th mass vaccination site in the state of Maryland. Here's a message from Regency Furniture about the honor that it has been and still is to be one of Maryland's mass vaccination sites, getting our community back to safety.
During these times of uncertainty, it helps to know there are things we can control to help ourselves and others.
For me, it presents the hope that soon enough, my friends and family will be together again.
We just want to take this moment to thank the Maryland National Guard for their support in helping to facilitate and manage the vaccinations here at the Regency Furniture Stadium. We just think it's so important for everyone to do their part, and we're just grateful for their support.
Thank you for some of your support, and we're just honored to be a part of the vaccination effort out here and to serve the community.
This is Jake Marshall, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Top of the third inning here at Regency Furniture Stadium. Stevie Bowen alongside me, Andrew Banstra. As Kolton Mahoney stays on the mound here for the Blue Crabs. That's going to bring up the top of the lineup, and Darian Sanford, who led off the game with a walk. That first pitch from Mahoney is going to be in there for a strike. And that ball is going to be driven down the left field line, but that's going to land in the Legends Club seating area over on the left field concourse, and the count is going to run 0-2. Sanford, as we talked about, a threat on the base path for the York Revolution, as he already has at least one stolen base this game, and it's only the top of the third inning. 0-2 pitch, going to run high and outside. Count runs to 1-2. Six to 1 our score here. The Blue Crabs with a big bottom of the second inning, as they put 5 runs together, as that one's looped out to the second baseman, Blackstone. He reaches for it but can't make the play. And Sanford's going to stay at first for a nice bloop single to start off the top of the third. It's going to bring up the shortstop, and Jan Sanchez, who started off the game right before this one with a 2-run home run and had himself a single back in the first inning of this first game as well. Sanchez went 2 for 4, had that home run and then a single in the fifth, alongside 2 strikeouts on his line, as he's looking to hope to chip away at this Blue Crabs lead. As we were talking about, big 5-run inning for the Crabs in the bottom of the second inning.
And now if you're Southern Maryland, it's of the utmost importance that, of course, you're playing not to lose, but continuing to play to win.
Sanford's going to take off, but that pitch was high. DeLuca wasn't able to come down with it in enough time to make the throw, as Sanford's in there easily with another stolen base. And another good jump where, even if it was a good pitch from Mahoney, I think it would have been tough for DeLuca behind the plate to throw him out at second. Comes the 1-0 pitch from Mahoney. Right down the middle. What looked to be right down the middle, but no call there from the electronic umpires. The count runs to 2-0. Two and 0 the count now. Darian Sanford waiting at second base in scoring position for Jan Sanchez at the plate. Lets that one go down the middle. The count goes 2-1. Talk about Jan Sanchez and Darian Sanford. Both very dangerous speed, as that one's grounded over to McAdams at third. He's got to be quick to make the play. Not in time, as a bobble by McAdams, the third baseman, costs them an out. As I was just saying, Sanchez has the speed for it. He's able to dig out that infield hit on the error from McAdams. Now brings up first and second. Nobody out here in the top of the third. It's going to bring up the first baseman, Carlos Castro, once again today. Castro also 2 for 4 with a pair of strikeouts and a pair of singles on his line. And a pickoff move to second, and a good one, as Sanford looked to be taking a little bit too much space for Mahoney's liking over there at second base, but he's able to get back safely.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why he threw it back to second that second time. That was...
Now, I'm not sure what that second throw was. Maybe he thought he can catch Sanford sleeping for a second, but too good of a base runner to do that.
First pitch to Castro right down the middle for strike one. Something we've seen a lot of in this game compared to the first one is a lot of these Revolution batters are letting that first pitch strike come in there so they can get themselves in a hole and hopefully have a better at-bat. We saw a lot of aggressive swinging from them in the first. As that ball is roped up the middle. Sanford's for sure going to try to score as they hold him up at third.
Wow.
Very surprising. Wow, indeed. As you have one of, if not the fastest guy in the Atlantic League, not scoring from second base on a base hit to the outfield there. Pretty surprising.
But on the other side of it, now that I think about it, I mean, with no outs, I guess I see the school of thought. Again, I'm still very surprised he didn't go, but with no outs, when you're trailing by this much, it makes sense to be conservative. It also makes sense to be very aggressive, but Mark Mason opting with the former.
It's going to bring up the right fielder of JC Encarnacion, and he's first pitch swinging. That one goes over to Baca at short, and he's going to throw to third to try to get Sanchez out, and he makes the play as Sanford's able to score. But there is now one out in the inning, as Encarnacion is going to reach on a fielder's choice.
As a shortstop, of course, you're the captain of the infield, and it's always of the utmost importance to make the smartest play possible, and Baca's a guy that does that basically anytime the ball is hit in his general direction. I mean, brilliant play to go to third there. That's where the ball takes you. Don't try to do anything too special going home with it, maybe throwing across your body back to second or first. Get the lead runner that you can and trade a run for an out in a situation where you still lead by 4 runs.
You know, especially on a ground ball like that, it wasn't hit hard at all to him. He really had just enough time to get it over to third base, and very smart baseball IQ play there by Baca. 0-1 the count now to the second baseman, Jack Kenley. Saw him in the designated hitter spot in the last game, as he went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts on his line. That one's going to run in there. We'll bring the count full now, 3-2, only 1 out here in the top of the third inning. As that one's going to stay inside. It'll be ball 4.
Really, Kolton Mahoney's first true test here in this contest. A little bit of one back in the first, but he certainly avoided that danger before things got into a situation like having the bases loaded. Looks like we do have some action in the Blue Crabs bullpen. Grafer Aregua rapidly getting warm. Jake Marshall accompanying him to the bullpen.
And that first pitch to the left fielder, James Harris, is going to be fouled back behind the press box here. The count runs 0-1. As you're saying, we see Aregua go down there and get ready in the Blue Crabs bullpen. I think to this point of the game, Kolton Mahoney, as we said before, isn't a starter for this team. Has kind of done pretty close to what you could ask him to do, being given this situation.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, especially considering he hasn't started since June the 2nd. You know, it's been 23 days since he's last started a game. It's not necessarily an easy thing to just jump into. So if you can give somebody 3 innings of basically an opener, as what it's now called at the MLB level, it's never, especially in a 7-inning game, I mean, that's not bad. It's the equivalent to 5 innings or 4 2/3 in a 9-inning game.
That's really all you can ask for there, as he blows the fastball by James Harris to give him the second out of the inning. After letting up a walk and a base hit, he struck out the side in the top of the first inning. And there he gets his 4th strikeout of the game for Mahoney. That's going to bring up the third baseman, John Sanzone. Sanzone 0 for 2 in the game before here. He had a walk in the 6th inning and then grounded out to Alex Crosby at first base twice. Base is still loaded here for the Revs. So that's going to be a ground ball to Baca. Stays down on it, bounces off of his chest. And that's going to be an error, and a run will score for the York Revolution as they have cut this lead in half. It is now a 6-3 ball game here in the top of the 3rd.
And if you're a guy like Kolton Mahoney that has struggled out of the gates to this point in the season, it is difficult to have a couple of errors made behind you. But on the opposite side of that, this is a Blue Crabs defense that has really, really shored things up of late. So, things are going to happen every once in a while.
And now the pitcher is going to hit Andre Cuevas in that designated hitter spot, as we talked about in the last game, and we talked about pretty much every game here, that new double hook rule. Since he is the reliever, if they were to bring another designated hitter in and hit for him, he would have to be taken out of the game.
So it's been a few weeks. What would you say your initial thoughts are on the double hook rule?
I mean, I don't think it's a terrible idea. I think it, I'm going to be honest with you, Andrew. I really don't know about this rule yet. I tried to give you a good thought. I don't know it.
I'd rather hear that.
I honestly, to be completely honest with you, I don't know how to react to this rule yet. As he blows another fastball by him, and the pitcher goes down swinging. As they get 2 in the top of the 3rd inning, that'll bring us into the bottom of the 3rd. Blue Crabs still holding a 6-3 lead. We'll be right back here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Austin Glorious, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Through October of 2021, COVID-19 vaccinations are offered right here at Regency Furniture Stadium. No appointment necessary. Just swing on by and get your COVID-19 vaccination today. Take one for the team, Southern Maryland. Get the vaccine. Dyson Building Center is one of the oldest family-owned and operated hardware, lumber, and building supply stores in Southern Maryland. They are located in St. Mary's County on Route 5 in Great Mills. Dyson's has an expansive and diverse inventory to help you with all of your home improvement and project needs. Whether you're new to the world of DIY, a tried and true DIY professional, or somewhere in between, the friendly and experienced staff at Dyson Building Center is ready and willing to help you today.
This is Blake Bivens, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Bottom of the 3rd action here at Regency Furniture Stadium. Stevie Bowen alongside Andrew Banstra. The Blue Crabs had a big bottom of the 2nd inning where they were able to plate 5 runs across. The score now 6-3, Blue Crabs leading. They batted around last inning, and that's going to bring up Jake Lucci to the plate, who's 0 for 1 on the day with a strikeout coming last inning. Lucci last game, as we talked about, had that big line drive that came off of the glove of the starting pitcher for the York Revolution and brought in a run or two. And had that big double off the top of the wall in left field. 1-0 the count now to Lucci. Change up right down the middle, going to be called strike one. As we've talked about, Lucci, a guy we've seen in this leadoff spot a couple times throughout this season. Really no stranger to being able to get on base for this team. As the 1-1 pitch is going to stay a little outside. Count runs to 2 balls, 1 strike here for the left fielder. Two and one now, the count to Lucci. And a big swing as he drives this one deep down the left field line. But the left fielder, Harris, is able to track it down right on the warning track for the first out of the inning. And that's going to bring up the designated hitter in the form of Jake Marshall. Really no change in this Blue Crabs lineup. As we talked about earlier, a couple players unable to play today due to a couple tweaks. The only real change in the lineup was DeLuca was in the DH spot and is now catching. And Jake Marshall was in the catching spot and is now DHing. 1-0 the count now to Marshall. Way ahead of the off-speed pitch as he waves that one. Count runs even at 1 apiece. Comes the 1-1 pitch. Fastball right down the middle, taken for strike 2. There's 1 out now in the bottom of the 3rd inning. There's 7 innings played in each of these 2 games here in this doubleheader. Breaking ball, tried to catch that inner half of the strike zone as Cuevas. The robotic umpire didn't like what he saw, and the count runs even at 2-2.
You know, something pretty interesting about the robotic umpire is, you know, when you listen to it in the AirPods, you'd expect it to sound like a human. It sounds like a robot. It basically sounds like a robotic version of Alexa.
You know, after a while, especially in a doubleheader, it's got to get old just hearing that in your ear after every pitch.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I agree.
Because now there's 2 gone here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. It's going to bring up the 9-hitter and the right fielder, Will Decker, who we saw had that clutch base hit. Brought in Joe DeLuca from second base in the last inning. Started off that Blue Crab scoring. Looks like that first pitch is going to stay a little too far outside. Count runs 1-0. And a big swing from Decker as he's just a little ahead of that pitch. That ball gets roped foul down the right field line.
You know, these would be 2 really big wins for Southern Maryland, especially without 3 of their biggest bats in the lineup, without Hibbert, Pisano, and Harris.
You know, these guys that don't get as much playing time as those starters you just named, able to come out here and show that they can pick up the slack when they're needed to.
Yeah, Lucci, Marshall, and of course Decker doing a good job filling in here this evening.
2-1 pitch to the right fielder. Pitch is going to stay low, but miss the strike zone as the count runs 3-1. Three and one the count here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Lucci and Marshall sat down to start off the inning as Will Decker fouls that one off behind the concourse here at Regency Furniture Stadium. That's going to run the count even to 3-2. Excuse me, run the count full 3-2. Payoff pitch from Cuevas. Gets the sign from his catcher. And Decker's able to foul that one off and stay alive. The count stays at 3-2.
You know, Stevie, I got to say I'm really excited for tomorrow, our first social media Saturday.
I agree, Andrew. We've been talking about it for a while.
Honestly, how long do you think it's? I mean, you were supposed to intern here in 2020.
Agreed.
We initially talked in 2019. I think we've been talking about it for well over a year now.
I'd say probably about a year and a half as Will Decker just kind of swats at the ball on a high fastball, and that's going to be the third strike. Bottom of the third inning comes to a close. No hits, no runs, no errors. As the score stays 6-3 here at Regency Furniture Stadium. We will be right back. Please stay tuned.
This is Ryan Caparese, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
American Radiology is the clear choice for all of your medical imaging needs. With locations in Charles and Calvert counties, they offer a full range of imaging services. Some of their latest innovations included 3D mammography and wide-open MRIs for our claustrophobic patients. For your convenience, they even offer extended weekday hours and Saturdays. For more information or to schedule an appointment, visit their website at AmericanRadiology.com. 2020 was a year unlike any other for everybody. Quickly, the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs came to the realization that baseball must take a backseat to humanity. Immediately, the Blue Crabs staff and all of Crustacean Nation teamed together to provide COVID-19 tests and eventually vaccinations. Southern Maryland's hometown team also hosted food drives, blood drives, backpack drives, toy drives, and so much more, all to help their community. The Blue Crabs couldn't be more thankful to the healthcare heroes that have gotten us to this point and helped our community so much throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. That's why this season is dedicated to our healthcare heroes. Each Saturday night, we will have a healthcare hero, a local healthcare professional, throw out the first pitch of the game and be honored. That's why in 2021, all season long, healthcare professionals get $5 tickets to every single Blue Crabs game. Thank you so much, healthcare heroes, for all that you have.
This is Ryan Dick, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Top of the fourth inning here at Regency Furniture Stadium. Stevie Bowen alongside Andrew Banstra. Score remains 6-3. Blue Crabs leading after that big bottom of the second inning where 5 Blue Crabs runners crossed home plate. As Kolton Mahoney is going to stay on the mound despite seeing Grafer Aregua warming up in the end of last inning. First pitch going to be taken for a strike to the catcher, Lennon Rodriguez. Second pitch going to be taken for a strike.
I also thought the first pitch was a strike, but it was a ball. I can see the home plate umpire kind of thinking the same thing.
Okay. The 1-1 pitch is going to be grounded over to Baca at shortstop. Throws a little high, but Alex Crosby able to come down with it for the first out of the inning.
Yeah, you can tell Baca, after making that error in the last inning, did a really good job looking that ball all the way in. But then you could tell he was overthinking it because he was looking it all the way in. He jumped up in angst afterwards after releasing that baseball, but first baseman picks him up. And, that's it. First base is a thankless position. So when you do stuff like that, it's nice, to get some recognition from your shortstop. So good on Baca for doing that.
If you play ball, even after a year or two of playing baseball, you can tell right out the hand if you just accidentally sailed that ball over the first baseman's head. And it has to be one of the worst feelings you can have as a ball player. Now that brings the leadoff guy, Darian Sanford, back up to the plate as he squared to bunt in his first one. And the second pitch going to be grounded over to Blackstone. And Sanford beat out the throw to first. Blackstone, Baca, and Crosby don't believe it. Sanford was moving down that first baseline. And he's going to be in there with an infield hit and a ground ball to the second baseman.
You know, there's only a handful of guys in professional baseball that could make a ground ball to the second baseman not a routine play. And that's what Darian Sanford does every time he hits the ball.
And it wasn't even like a slow ground ball. Right. That was a very average ground ball that he just beat out. The pickoff move to first gets him on the play. Kolton Mahoney says that's fine. You can beat out the infield single. We'll still take you off the bases. As there's now 2 outs in the inning.
And you know, I'm really happy for Kolton Mahoney. He's a guy that we knew had it in him. Struggled a little bit out of the gates, but, you know, you can see the emotion right there when, you know, Sanford gets on. He's dealt with some adversity, such as the infield single, a couple of errors from his defense, but he picks him off there. He gives a big fist pump, and you just love to see that.
You know, it really isn't a reoccurring thing to see someone get picked off on a pickoff move like that to first, and it's always just really satisfying when it works. The first pitch to Jan Sanchez is going to come in for a strike. Second pitch going to break a little too far outside. Count runs to 1-1. Two outs away now in the top of the fourth inning. Another breaking ball stays too far outside. Count runs 2-1 here for Jan Sanchez, who's 1 for 2 on the day. And so he got a base hit in his first at-bat in the first, and then reached on that Josh McAdams throwing error back in the third inning. That pitch is going to hit the top of the strike zone for a strike. Count runs even at 2-2. 2-2 the count to Sanchez. Fouls that one off of his foot, and that one did not look fun. Sanchez immediately hits the dirt in pain, as he's definitely going to need a minute or two as that ball looked to directly come and hit him right off the foot.
You know, interestingly, in my, everybody, we played baseball growing up, and my whole life I always wondered, why do people make such a big deal about it when it hits your foot? Because it never happened to me until I was like 17, right? So I'm always thinking that, and I'm thinking, I'm such a tough guy. It could happen to me. Well, lo and behold, I hit one off my foot, and I took my sweet time getting back up. It is a shot of pain like you couldn't imagine.
It is a terrible feeling.
And it doesn't go away either. I mean, it just keeps coming back no matter how long you go.
Sanchez still on the ground next to home plate, but he's, as one would assume, up and moving. He's doing all right, but as we talked about, that is a terrible feeling, taking that foul ball right off the foot, because you got to think, that could be a 90-mile-an-hour fastball coming off the bat, even though it went straight down. That's still probably a 60-mile-an-hour hit that just went directly to your foot.
Probably more like 80, 85, 90.
Exactly.
The average exit velo is somewhere around 91 to 93, you'd have to imagine, for a guy like Sanchez that hits the ball pretty well.
As we saw in that first game.
Yeah. And it travels about 2 feet before hitting you. Going 91 miles an hour, it's going to hurt a little bit more. No time to slow down.
Looks like we're going to resume play here, as it's 2-2 count here with 2 outs in the top of the fourth inning. Kolton Mahoney, as we talked about earlier, stayed on the mound despite seeing Grafer Aregua warming up at in the top of the third inning. As he fans at that one, foul tipped into Joe DeLuca's glove behind the plate. And that's the third out of the inning. Despite leaving up a base hit. Despite giving up a base hit to Darian Sanford, Kolton Mahoney able to pick him off at first and then strike out Jan Sanchez the end of the top of the fourth. And we will be back here with more action on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Austin Glorious, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Through October of 2021, COVID-19 vaccinations are offered right here at Regency Furniture Stadium. No appointment necessary. Just swing on by and get your COVID-19 vaccination today. Take one for the team, Southern Maryland. Get the vaccine. Dyson Building Center is one of the oldest family-owned and operated hardware, lumber, and building supply stores in Southern Maryland. They are located in St. Mary's County on Route 5 in Great Mills. Dyson's has an expansive and diverse inventory to help you with all of your home improvement and project needs. Whether you're new to the world of DIY, a tried and true DIY professional, or somewhere in between, the friendly and experienced staff at Dyson Building Center is ready and willing to help you today.
This is Blake Vivens, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Andre Cueva stays on the mound for York. As we head into the bottom of the fourth inning, Blue Crabs still holding a 6-3 lead. As the top of the lineup is going to come to the plate. Kent Blackstone 2 for 2 on this game so far with 2 singles. As he's done a nice job back in this leadoff spot as we saw him in the beginning of the season. First pitch, low out of the zone for ball 1. And the 1-0 pitch to Blackstone. Fastball, that one's going to be low as well. Count runs at 2-0. Blackstone 0 for 3 in the first game today, but reached on a walk back in the bottom of the third inning and came around to score. There's a big swing from him as he's ahead of it. That one's fouled off to the right side. Count runs to 2-1.
A score update from Gastonia. It's a wild one between the Ducks and the Honey Hunters. The score is 12-11, Gastonia on top. But the Ducks have the bases loaded in the top of the 8th with 2 down.
And as we talked about, a Ducks loss there. And assuming the Blue Crabs hold on for a win today, would surely put them in the top spot of the Atlantic League North Division. First time they've been there in over 2 years.
That's right.
Count now 3-1 to Blackstone. Andre Cueva still on the mound. And that pitch is going to be foul tipped off the bat of Blackstone. Count runs full at 3-2.
Stevie, I hate to tell you, but because of the doubleheader, my math got a little messed up.
Oh, no.
And even if Long Island does win, or doesn't win, and we do, we'd still be a half game back.
That ball is lifted to deep left field. Harris is going to be camped under that for the first out of the inning. Well, Andrew, now that makes everything I just said a lie.
Well,
but I forgive you for it.
Nonetheless, we'd still only be a half game back and have the opportunity to tomorrow find ourselves in first place. So always looking forward, never back here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
You know, that is something Andrew always likes to say around the office. He said it twice today already.
Make that 3 now that I just said it again.
Who says you don't need math?
It's true.
Michael Baca here at the plate now with 1 down in the bottom of the 4th inning. First pitch from Cuevas breaks way outside for ball 1. Baca so far 1 for 1 on this game. Had a walk back in the first inning and then had a base hit and came around to score in the second. As he's looking to start another Blue Crabs rally here in the bottom of the 4th to add some insurance runs to this 3-run lead they currently hold. Fastball stayed outside there from Cuevas. Count runs 2-0. Collier, the on-deck batter. Fastball on the outer half of the strike zone, called a strike. 21 the count here to Baca. Talked about Collier on deck. Just 1 for 4 on his line, but a handful of walks for him on the day. As that pitch misses the zone just outside, count runs 3-0, or excuse me, 3-1. Cuevas so far just 1 strikeout for him since coming into this game. That pitch runs high and in. That's going to be ball 4. Now with 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th inning, Zach Collier comes up with a runner on base.
And it seems like every time Zach Collier comes to bat today, there's runners on base. And, you know, that just is exactly what you want if you're Stan Clyburn. Beautifully orchestrated lineup from Clyburn today.
You know, as we talked about, Blackstone has a walk today as well. Blackstone has 2 hits. Baca has a walk and a hit. 2 walks and a hit today. These top 2 guys are really getting it done, putting themselves on base for Collier, Crosby, and these middle of the lineup.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this is the 11th inning of baseball that's been played today, and your first 2 batters have reached base a total of 6 times. That is really, really good. Especially when you have 2 of the hottest bats in the Atlantic League in Collier and Crosby in the 3 and 4 spots. Then your 5-hitter hits a walk-off home run. I mean, everything's going right.
You really can't ask for much more if you're Stan Clyburn. That pitch runs inside, and for the second time today, Collier's hit by a pitch. As now he's on with another walk. Second time this game Collier's been hit by a pitch. As he was hit back in the second inning. Now runner on first and second for Alex Crosby, as he is 1 for 1 this game with a walk and a double. Crosby, a guy that's been seeing the ball well today as well. So far he is 2 for 5. Single and a double for him. Came back to score on that single. And a couple walks on his line as well.
Quick mound visit here by the Revs, and you know, this is a pivotal portion of the contest because, you know, York's well within striking distance with a 6-3 deficit, but in a 7-inning game, when you're heading into the final 3 innings of this contest, you really can't afford to comfortably let up any more runs.
At this point, if you're York, your main mission is to just shut down this Blue Crabs lineup and hopefully get some motivation in your lineup as well so they can string a couple hits together and try to eat away at this deficit. It's going to bring Alex Crosby to the plate now. Crosby's had a couple hits so far this game, today. It looked like they could go off the bat to the left side of the field. He is no stranger to power. First pitch, high and out of the zone. Goes for ball 1. 1-0 the count to Collier. To Crosby. The pickoff move to second, but Baca gets back easily as no throw from Cuevas, as he's just looking to keep Baca as close as possible there to the bag. Want to know the count to Crosby. Baca in scoring position. Zach Collier on first. Comes the 1-0 pitch. Good fastball. That one stays in the zone. Count runs even at 1-1. McAdams waiting on deck, as we talked about, walked it off for the Blue Crabs in the first game of this doubleheader off of a screaming home run that landed in the picnic deck over the mini monster in left field. As he is also 2 for 2 this game with a pair of singles as well. And a ball that gets away from Cuevas on the mound. A nice job by Rodriguez behind the plate, able to corral that one in. Two and one the count now to Crosby. Crosby, a pair of strikeouts for him today as well. That ball lands in front of the plate and gets by the catcher Rodriguez. And now the Blue Crabs are in business here as they have 2 runners in scoring position with only 1 out. That pitch in the dirt is going to bring it to a 3-1 count for Alex Crosby.
Revs infield in on the grass here, knowing how this run is incredibly important, or should I say both of the runs that stand on second and third base.
The hitter's count here for Crosby. Comes a 3-1 pitch from Cuevas. That one's outside, and he's walked the bases full. As after getting Blackstone out on that deep fly ball to left field, he has walked 3 straight batters.
Are you at all surprised to see Mark Mason not making his way to the mound?
A little bit, yes. Because of what we just talked about, how important these runs are and how important it is for York to not let these runs score. I think at this point you need a pitcher warming up, at least ready to go in right now, or should have already brought one in at this point of the game.
It's true.
Blue Crabs fans screaming home run to Josh McAdams as they want a repeat of what they saw at the end of the first game today. That breaking ball low and outside. Nice job by Rodriguez being able to smother that ball behind the plate. His count runs 1-0.
Of course, Josh McAdams could certainly end up being the most important batsman in either of the 2 games of our doubleheader here today.
McAdams fouls that one off to the backstop. Count runs even at 1-1, and Andrew, you were saying McAdams, could go down as that key guy in their lineup for today, as he's 2 for 2 this game. And we don't really need to say much else about that last one. We all know about that home run.
Right. That walk-off home run is going to be pivotal, not only for this series, but, every game counts, especially with how tight the Atlantic League is this year.
Comes the pitch from Cuevas. Fastball on the outer half, but that one stays outside for ball 2. Two and 1 the count now to McAdams. Baca at third, Collier at second, and Alex Crosby at first base. As Josh McAdams puts a charge into that one. Grand slam. Josh McAdams is seeing the ball tonight, ladies and gentlemen, as he sends that one onto the picnic deck once again. And your Blue Crabs are now up 10-3 in the bottom of the fourth inning.
I mean, I feel like unless you're a fan here at the stadium, you're basically at a loss for words. McAdams, a guy that had had his fair share of struggles to begin the season, but, you know, I've been saying over and over and over again that just give him a little bit more time because he's a guy that's going to turn the corner and he's going to be one of the best bats in the Atlantic League, just like he was in 2019. Stan Clyburn certainly feels that way as well as he stayed in the middle of the order. 2 home runs today, one of them a walk-off, the other a grand slam. I mean, what else could you ask for?
That is now, I believe, the 7th RBI of the day for Josh McAdams alone, and he is just absolutely raking at the plate. Now still just 1 out here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Your hometown team, the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, now up 10-3 as they have had 2 big innings coming in the bottom of the second and the bottom of the fourth. As that brings up Joe DeLuca for the third time, for the third time this game. First pitch to DeLuca is outside for ball 1. DeLuca 1 for 2 in this game as a ball rolls across the field from the York bullpen. We see that happen here a lot at Regency Furniture Stadium. It's all good.
Just another day in paradise.
That's what I always say.
Good one. No, but seriously, in all seriousness, I love this place, man. Like, this place is incredible. It's sure that, you know, that happens from time to time, but if that's the biggest problem, I mean,
this place is great.
It's true.
1-0 the count now to DeLuca as he skies that one. Looks to be about 3 miles in the air as the first baseman Castro is going to run over to the pitcher's mound and make the play. Nice job by Castro, able to call everyone off. Looks like he thought he had the better angle on that ball, and he made the play for the second out of the inning. That brings up the 7-hole hitter in Jake Lucci, who's 0 for 2 on the day so far. Still looking for his second hit of the day. As we talked about earlier, had that big double off that Southern Maryland Blue Crab sign on the top of the Mini Monster. You know, we've talked about it before, Andrew. Whoever put that sign up did a real good job.
That's true.
I mean, it just looks like a very clean sign.
Some would say.
First pitch to Lucci, right down the middle for strike 1. Two down here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Blue Crabs lead 10-3. As Lucci rips one into center field, Sanford has to run for it. But it doesn't matter if you say that or not. He's probably going to make it to the ball, as he's able to rein that one in for the third out of the inning. 4 runners cross the plate off of a Josh McAdams grand slam here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Blue Crabs up 10-3. We'll be back with more action here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Carlos Diaz, and you are listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Good.
American Radiology is the clear choice for all of your medical imaging needs. With locations in Charles and Calvert counties, they offer a full range of imaging services. Some of their latest innovations included 3D mammography and wide-open MRIs for our claustrophobic patients. For your convenience, they even offer extended weekday hours and Saturdays. For more information or to schedule an appointment, visit their website at AmericanRadiology.com. The Charles County Department of Health encourages you to get the COVID-19 vaccination today. You can get it all over Southern Maryland or no matter where you are across the United States. Vaccinations are offered right here at Regency Furniture Stadium with no appointment needed. Charles County Department of Health and the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs urge you to take one for the team and get the vaccine.
Monkey.
This is Dario Pisano, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Top of the fifth inning action here at Regency Furniture Stadium. Stevie Bowen alongside me, Andrew Banstra, as Kolton Mahoney stays on the mound for the fifth inning. We've talked about it a couple times. We saw Grafer Aregua warming up back in the third here for the Blue Crabs, but when your offense scores 4 more runs in the bottom of the fourth inning, why not keep your starter out there, Let him go as long as he can. 1-1 the count now. So the first baseman, Carlos Castro, made that nice play right in front of home plate as he looked to be the only one of the York infield able to see that ball off the bat of Joe DeLuca as that went very high in the air. And that ball's roped off the bat. Zach Collier's got to run back for it, and that one lands in the pool. Over at the bunker boats in left center field. Carlos Castro goes yard at Regency Furniture Stadium. The score is now 10-4. Blue Crabs lead. York hasn't really been able to have that big hit off of Kolton Mahoney so far this game. Just a few base hits here and there for them so far, and that seems to be the best contact anyone's gotten on the ball so far from him. As they still chase 6 runs here in the late innings. As you know, in these doubleheaders, we play 7 innings instead of 9. First pitch to the right fielder, Encarnacion, will be low and away for ball 1. One and 0 the count now. That ball's popped up high. That'll come back behind the press box here. Count runs even at 1-1. That pitch fouled back for Encarnacion. The count now 1-2 on him. As we said, that's the first real good contact anyone's gotten on the ball against Mahoney so far this game, and he really just sent that one into deep left center field. Count now even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Encarnacion at the plate. And that pitch from Mahoney is going to stay low. Count runs even at 3 balls and 2 strikes. No outs here in the top of the 5th inning. The pitch from Mahoney. Tried to catch that outer half of the strike zone, but that one stays outside for him. Now runner on first base with nobody out.
When your offense puts up 10 runs for you, it makes you significantly more comfortable on the mound, not only, but in addition to that, if Josh McAdams doesn't hit that grand slam, we're looking at a really tight 6-4 ball game, whereas now Southern Maryland's still up by a half dozen.
And a nice fastball comes back on the inner half of the strike zone, and Jack Henley down 0-1, start early. Kenley so far 0 for 1 in this game. Had a strikeout in the first and then walked and got left on second base back in the third. As he grounds that one over to Blackstone at second. And Encarnacion just too fast, easily able to get there at second base. But nice job by Blackstone getting Kenley at first for the first out of the inning. That gives York a runner in scoring position with just with just one out here in the top of the fifth inning.
You know, and Stevie, we talked about it earlier, saying that, you know, Mahoney, if he's a guy that's able to give you maybe 3 really solid innings, that would be wonderful. But it's a whole new ball game, of course, when he's going to be able to give you 5 full innings of work. Hopefully full. I mean, at least he works into the fifth.
As we talked about before the game, Kolton Mahoney is just really not that type of guy. You don't put him in those types of situations to start and expect him to stay in for the majority of the game, but he's done a fantastic job with that so far today.
That's true. I mean, he's been that guy today.
And a nice pitch there from Mahoney as quickly he puts the left fielder James Harris in an 0-2 hole. Harris 0 for 2 on the day so far. Fly ball to Zach Collier back in the second. And a strikeout looking in the third inning. As a base hit to the outfield is sure to bring Encarnacion home as he swings through that outside fastball for strike number 2. Strike number 3, as there are now 2 outs in the inning. And as we talked about, done a nice job, Kolton Mahoney. Back in the first inning, walked Darian Sanford to start, and then Jan Sanchez had a base hit to bring him in. Was able to lock in from there with 3 strikeouts, as he seems to be doing the same thing here. Did a nice job. Let up a home run in the first batter, walked a guy, and now has come back with 2 quick outs. Oh, 0-1 to count now to the third baseman, Sanzone. The 0-1 pitch from Mahoney. Fastball just misses that outer half of the strike zone. Count is even at 1-1. That was the 1-1 pitch. The ball's fouled off on the ground behind the backstop. Count runs to 1-2 here for John Sanzone as he reached on an error back in the third and grounded out to Josh McAdams back in the second inning. That ball low and outside in the dirt. Nice job by DeLuca, able to get in front and block that ball. Count runs in 2-2. Sanzone looking for his first hit of the game so far. As last game grounded out Alex Crosby twice and then reached on a walk and was left on third base in the 6th inning. Two into the count to Sanzone. Breaking ball tried to stick that outer half of the strike zone. Just broke a little bit too far out as the count runs full at 3-2. Full count, 2 outs in the top of the 5th inning. Takes off for third base. His Encarnacion. As that breaking ball almost hits Sanzone as he is now on with a 2-out walk. And now we have runners at first and third.
It's a real test for Kolton Mahoney. He's had a couple of them tonight. One in the first, one in the fourth, and another here in the, make that one in the first, one in the third, and another here in the 5th inning. For a guy that's faced some good amounts of adversity this year, being able to run right through those walls of adversity here tonight is a really, really strong sign.
Andre Cuevas, the pitcher, is going to come to bat again as he struck out in the top of the 3rd inning. Second pitch, big swing from him as he misses it. Count now runs to 0-2.
seen more pitchers hitting today than we've seen all year. And now, of course, it's the doubleheader. And you're kind of getting to that point in the season where you're going to start inevitably, unfortunately, having some injuries.
And a big swing and a miss for strike three, as after letting up a big home run from Carlos Castro, as he strands 2 runners on, Kolton Mahoney able to get out of the inning. He's given us 5 full innings of work and has let up just 4 runs so far this game. Bottom of the 5th inning action coming at you guys. Andrew will be back on the broadcast. We got Jake Marshall, Will Decker, and Kent Blackstone leading it off for the Blue Crabs. And we will be back here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Jay Clucci, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Dyson Building Center is one of the oldest family-owned and operated hardware, lumber, and building supply stores in Southern Maryland. They are located in St. Mary's County on Route 5 in Great Mills. Dyson's has an expansive and diverse inventory to help you with all of your home improvement and project needs. Whether you're new to the world of DIY, a tried and true DIY professional, or somewhere in between, the friendly and experienced staff at Dyson Building Center is ready and willing to help you today. In February of 2020, Regency Furniture Stadium and the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs were given what we view as an honor, being named the 4th mass vaccination site in the state of Maryland. Here's a message from Regency Furniture about the honor that it has been and still is to be one of Maryland's mass vaccination sites, getting our community back to safety.
During these times of uncertainty, it helps to know there are things we can control to help ourselves and others.
For me, it presents the hope that soon enough, my friends and family will be together again.
We just want to take this moment to thank the Maryland National Guard for their support in helping to facilitate and manage the vaccinations here at the Regency Furniture Stadium. We just think it's so important for everyone to do their part, and we're just grateful for their support.
Thank you for some of your support, and we're just honored to be a part of the vaccination effort out here and to serve the community.
This is Jake Marshall, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Andrew Banster alongside Stevie Bowen as we take you into the bottom of the 5th inning of baseball. Jake Marshall welcomes himself up to the plate. The catcher, number 2, steps up to take on Andre Cuevas, who has pitched a pretty good amount for a reliever as the moon peeks out right over the American flag out in right field. First pitch from Marshall, fouled to the right side. Strike number 1 here in the bottom of the 5th. 10 runs is the most the Blue Crabs have scored at home this season. A 5-4 victory back in Game 1 of this doubleheader thanks to a Josh McAdams walk-off home run. He hits a grand slam in Game 2 to give Southern Maryland at the time, 10-3 lead. A York home run trims the lead to 6, but Southern Maryland still with a very comfortable lead, especially with York only having 2 more opportunities to put up 6 runs. Marshall sees a 1-1 count. Fastball swung on and missed, strike number 2. Marshall, a DMV area native. A catcher by trade. DH'd in the first game of this doubleheader. Will Decker awaits on deck. In the hole, Kent Blackstone. Cuevas on his way with the 1-1. A slider gets away from him. The count, 2 balls, 2 strikes. I beg your pardon. Fastball in there for strike number 3. I beg your pardon, onto the mound for the York Revolution is a right-hander, Bubby Rossman. Rossman's next pitch in there for strike number 1 to Will Decker. Southern Maryland only has 8 hits in this contest. It's equated to 10 runs. That's what happens when you find yourself with a grand slam. Make that 9 hits. 9 hits for the Blue Crabs, 2 errors defensively, but they still hold a 6-run lead over the Revs. As Will Decker awaits. Decker so far in this contest, 1 for 2 with a run scored and an RBI. His batting average climbs up to 156. As a fastball misses. Still more action in the Blue Crabs bullpen. Grafer Aregua getting warm for the second time in this game. It looked like maybe in the 3rd inning that Kolton Mahoney may need some relief, but he worked around some danger. It's fair to expect Aregua to come in the 6th and maybe even toss the 7th as well.
That's also one of the good things if you're the Blue Crabs with these doubleheaders. The shortened games give you a chance, you know. You don't need to bring your closer in the game. Maybe just let a reliever go a little bit longer, see what he can do, and hopefully close out the game.
It's true. I mean, especially, you know, we talked about you're getting to that point in the season where guys are starting to get those aches and pains, and it's not a new season anymore. The allure of it, you know, the beauty of opening day and the excitement, it turns into a grind. Still a fun grind, but turns into a grind quite quickly. So, you know, it's to be expected that you'd want to use as few pitchers as possible to give as many people as much rest as you possibly can. While, of course, juggling, making sure everybody gets a couple innings every so often. Basically, you know, being a manager or a pitching coach, there's a lot to it that people don't see. As I believe that was called strike 3 on Will Decker. I think Will had the same thought that I did. I thought that was ball 4. Stevie, what did you see?
I saw ball 4 as well, but, you know, we've seen it a couple of times today. This electronic scoreboard just, you know, might need to be recalibrated. Who knows?
10-4 the score here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Southern Maryland on top as we turn the lineup back to the top of the order. Kent Blackstone at the plate. Blackstone 2 for 3 here in Game 2. He's driven in a run and scored 2. Waiting on deck should we get that far, Michael Baca, as Blackstone backs away from a fastball that's called strike number 1. Bubby Rossman back out onto the mound. Give you the final lines for the first 2 Revolution pitchers to this point in the game after this pitch, as Blackstone fouls one away for strike number 2. Bell got the start for the York Revolution. He goes an inning and 2/3, allowing 6 hits, 5 runs all earned, 2 walks and 2 strikeouts. Then came Andre Cuevas. He went 2 1/3 innings, allowing 3 hits, 5 runs all earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. And now Bubby Rossman comes in and strikes out the first 2 Blue Crabs batters he sees. Blackstone becomes the 3rd straight strikeout victim, and that's how we get through 5 innings of baseball here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Southern Maryland holding a 10-4 lead. We'll be right back on the other end of this break, right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Josh McAdams, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Did you know that the Washington, D.C. metro area is the 5th most expensive place to live in the entire United States of America? Sometimes finding affordable housing in this area can feel impossible. If you're struggling to find affordable housing, look no further than the Villages of St. Charles by Ross Properties. You can visit them online at villagesatstcharles.com for more information today. Villages of St. Charles, they'll have you safe at home. There's nothing quite like when the Blue Crabs retire the side. At Wealth Management Partners, they're on your side for your retirement planning needs. It's never too early to start planning your retirement. Talk to the experienced financial advisors of Wealth Management Partners located right here in Waldorf. Call them today at 301-885-0955. Again, Wealth Management Partners. Call them today at 301-885-0955.
This is Kent Blackstone, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Grafer Oregwa coming into pitch for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. That puts a pin on Kolton Mahoney's outing, which is undoubtedly his best of the season. The right-hander is in line for the win. 5 innings pitched, 5 hits allowed. How about 8 strikeouts? 5 walks, 4 runs, 3 of them earned. First pitch from Grafer Oregwa. It's going to miss inside for ball number 1. Top of the 6th action. Oregwa's next pitch in there. Strike number 1. Give you the full numbers for Oregwa on the season. The right-hander 1-1 with a 4.61 ERA. Chopper to the left side. Gets past the outstretched glove of Josh McAdams. What'd you see there, Stevie?
I mean, it was a hard hit ball. I think it just kind of bounced off the wrist. You know, you see those sometimes. Maybe the ball takes an odd hop on you. Sometimes you don't stay down on the ball as much as you'd want to. And it looked like that one just hopped up and caught him in a bad spot of the arm.
Yeah, that's kind of what I saw, too. It looked like it just kind of got him on the wrong spot, maybe rolled up the heel of that glove, and it kind of hit the lip of the grass, too. So, tough play for McAdams. Finishing the numbers for Oregwa on the season. His last appearance was against the same York Revolution. He was back on June the 22nd at York. He got the win in that game, his only win of the season. He went 1 inning, no hits or runs. He walked 1 and struck out another. On the season, Aregua, as Sanford slaps one to the right side, Blackstone flips to second. It's going to be really hard to turn 2 on a guy like Darian Sanford, but Southern Maryland got 1, and they'll take what they can get.
And a nice turn there by Baca at shortstop. He knew what the situation was. Nice job by Blackstone getting it over there, too. But as you said, you got to have an absolute perfect double play ball to get Darian Sanford out at first.
Yeah, it's going to be very rare that happens. You know, Aregua on the season, walks are not an issue for the right-hander. In 13 innings, he's only walked 3 batters while striking out 16 entering play. Those are fantastic numbers that any pitching coach will gladly take. Aregua, one of those kind of core 4 relievers that we talked about earlier. In fact, I'd like to amend that and say maybe core 5 relievers that Stan Clyburn has really turned to. For whatever reason, I didn't mention Carlos Diaz earlier, and I think that was a slip-up because he's been incredible this year. Outside of an appearance in which he allowed 3 runs, he has been unbelievable. Fastball misses upstairs to the next man up to the plate.
Another pitch from Aregua misses just a little bit high. Excuse my laughter, but a Blue Crabs fan just screams, "We're ready to go home." Here. Doubleheaders are a lot of work, for the players and the fans.
High hit to the left side. Back to the warning track is Jake Lucci, who gets it with no problem. He was already playing pretty deep.
Off the bat, to me, the launch angle on that ball looked like it was getting sent out of here. Nice job by Lucci, already playing back on that play, catching the ball right against the wall.
Yeah, Lucci is a plus defender. There's no question about that. Very reliable glove out in left field. And he's quickly learned to kind of navigate what for some can be a really tricky area of Regency Furniture Stadium. It's not just that mini monster in left field that can take really, really bizarre hops sometimes, but if you're able to see as well, it's, we'll zoom in on it, but as you see the double doors out in left field as well. Line shot to the left side, gets through the infield. So runners at first and second against Grayfer Aregua. 2 down here in this top of the 6th inning of action. And that's something that Southern Maryland has gone to a lot. I'm speaking to that pickoff attempt at second base. The Revs really ran rampant on the Blue Crabs last time the 2 teams met here at Regency Furniture Stadium. So really good plan of attack by pitching coach Darryl Thompson to make sure that his pitchers are well aware that that's the intention of the York Revolution. It looks like time has been called so that Joe DeLuca can speak with his pitcher, Grayfer Aregua. Stevie, it's not all that often you see a catcher 6 inches taller than his pitcher. It's not like, to be honest, baseball is truly one of the sports where it really doesn't matter how tall you are. Ask a guy like Tim Lincecum, who was under 6 foot, but threw a couple of no-hitters, won a Cy Young.
I just love the way you said that, too. Just threw a couple of no-hitters, you know.
Yeah, no
This
big
guy
deal.
comes out here under 6 feet, couple no-hitters, couple Cy Youngs, it's whatever.
Craziest stat for Tim Lincecum about me was always his stride.
Yeah.
He was under 6 foot, but his stride was over 7 feet, which just doesn't make sense. But, I mean, even if you were trying to do the splits, right?
Yeah.
Like, how could you get to 7 feet in distance between your feet? But B, how could you do that from a position of power?
And how do you keep your balance
Right.
afterwards? Because as a pitcher, you got to try to throw that ball as hard as you can and then immediately get down prepared for a ball to come right back at you. You know him, he was known for that back leg of his just going up over his head on that final stride on that leg kick. And it just a remarkable pitcher all around.
In fact, Hector Sanchez, a member of the Long Island Ducks, caught one of his 2 no-hitters. Aregua looked back to second. Sanford goes on the pitch. Hard hit to the left side. McAdams off the end of his glove. Sanford thinks about going home. Now he does. Baca unable to come up with it. And a couple of mishaps on the left side of the infield makes the score 10-5. And to be completely frank, if I'm Stan Clyburn, I'm perfectly fine. I mean, obviously I'm not perfectly fine with it, but for what Josh McAdams has done defensively, which has been a couple of blunders, he has more than made up for it on the offensive end with a walk-off home run and a grand slam.
100%. You know, this is one of those days where I believe 2 errors this inning, 3 total on the game. But the guy hit a walk-off home run and a grand slam today. You know what? Try again fielding tomorrow. We'll figure it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just get out of this game and enjoy yourselves.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, especially for a Southern Maryland team that finds themselves on the brink of winning 9 of their last 11 games. Runners at first and second, 10-5 the score. Blue Crabs on top of the Revs here in the top of the 6th. Chopper to the right side, foul near the York Revolution dugout. Andrew Banstra alongside Stevie Bowen here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network, live from the Bayonet Press Box, bringing you game 2 of a doubleheader between your Blue Crabs and the visiting York Revolution. Right before coming home, the Blue Crabs brought the Revs with them from York. Southern Maryland was just at Peoples Bank Park, the home of the York Revolution, for a 3-game set, and now come here to play 4 more. Aregua misses upstairs for ball 4, and just like that, things are getting a little bit more intense here, to be perfectly frank. You know, earlier in this inning, you're looking at a 10-4 game, just as the fan happened to yell, let's go home. I mean, that's kind of the vibe that this game was giving off, that it was basically over, but things can change awfully quick. We've seen Southern Maryland do that offensively many times this year. Aregua has the bases loaded, and his first pitch is going to miss a little bit high and tight for ball number 1. Darryl Thompson wisely going to take a moment to come talk to his pitcher. And that's a really good time to do that.
I think so as well. You know, got bases loaded, but you also have 2 outs. That can't be, you know, those runners on the bases can't be the thing on your mind right now. If you're Regua, you just want to attack that. Excuse me. You just want to attack that batter and really go at him there.
So a pivotal point in the contest. Top of the 6th inning, bases loaded with 2 down. And up to the plate, batting for this York Revolution squad, James Harris. Harris 0 for 3 today. The left fielder, in not too many games played, sees his batting average dip under 100. So this is probably the guy that you'd like to be facing here if you're Gray for Aregua. We mentioned Aregua is a guy that really has great command. He did walk a batter so far, but it looks like he's gotten out of his jam. Kent Blackstone calling off his fellow fielders in what could have been a disastrous inning for Southern Maryland. Gray for Aregua says not so fast. 10-5 the score. Blue Crabs still doubling up the Revs here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Milton Perez, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Hey, Blue Crabs fans, make sure to visit the All-American Steakhouse and Sports Theater at 35 St. Patrick's Drive, right here in Waldorf, for some great food with great friends. Their steaks are fresh, hand-cut, in-house daily, as well as many other fresh seafood, chicken, and beef options. They offer outdoor and indoor dining, available each and every day, along with the same great menu to go if you would like. Please visit them online at www.theallamericansteakhouse.com. That's www.theallamericansteakhouse.com. You can also visit them on Facebook or Instagram. They have daily specials that you just can't pass up. Thank you, Blue Crabs fans. All Pawn is Southern Maryland's premier pawn shop and is the official pawn shop of the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. Stop by and say hello today. They've been a part of the Southern Maryland community for 18 years. If you need some cash to hold you over, or if you're just doing some spring cleaning and want to clear some stuff out, please bring it by All Pawn and let them make you an offer. If you have broken jewelry or some that you just don't want anymore, please bring it by, and they'll pay you more than anyone in the Tri-County area. They're located on 301 in White Plains, just south of DeMar Road. Go Blue Crabs!
This is Patrick Baker, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Michael Baca leads us off here in this bottom of the 6th inning of baseball. 2-3-4 up, due up for the Blue Crabs, I should say. It's Baca, Collier, and Alex Crosby. First pitch way outside to start us off here in this bottom of the 6th inning. It is a newcomer onto the mound, Edward Paredes. A left-hander, wears number 16 on the back of his jersey. We'll give you the final line. To this point, on all the pitchers we've seen in this contest, Kolton Mahoney started, went 5 innings. He's in line for the win. He allowed 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 5 walks. How about 8 strikeouts? He did allow 1 home run. Gray for Aregua then came in. We'll see if he ends up finishing the game. My best guess would be that he does. Aregua went 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 run. It was unearned, however. He walked 1 with no strikeouts. As for the Revs, Paredes is the 4th pitcher to enter this contest so far. 3-0 pitch on its way outside for ball number 4 as Baca walks on 4 straight.
That's Baca's 3rd walk of this game so far. He is just 1 for 1 with a base hit. Absolutely great day at the plate for him so far.
That'll do a number for your on-base percentage. Bruce Bell was the one to get things started for the Revs. He went an inning and 2/3. He's in line for the loss. He went out there and allowed 6 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Then came Andre Cuevas. Cuevas, the right-hander, pitched 2 1/3 innings, allowed 3 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Bubby Rossman came to the mound next, which, to be perfectly honest with you, is easily my favorite name that we've seen to this point in the season.
I was going to mention that if you were going to last inning, but I love that name.
You know, the Atlantic League is actually really not that much this year, but notorious for having, should I say, interesting names. There was, I believe it was the color commentator for the Revs a couple of years ago, an intern that made an all-star lineup of all-star names in the Atlantic League.
Nice.
My personal favorite, you ready for this one?
Wait, is it from a team this year? Or
No.
like all time?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Continue.
Kalaika Kahuahalahala.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Longtime Blue Crab from Hawaii. Really good guy. Good clubhouse guy. But yeah, Kalaika Kahuahalahala.
How frustrating was that your first couple games broadcasting that name?
Very much so. Very much so. There was another name in the league. Joey Turdoslavich was a good one.
Nice.
I got to find that all-star lineup. That was pretty good. One down. Alex Crosby now comes to the plate. Here in the bottom of the 6th. Paredes misses low and away to Crosby, who has been fantastic today. Crosby had that bases clearing double back in the 4th inning. So 3 RBIs. He's also walked twice. And yet again, I mean, an absolute doozy for your on-base percentage. Crosby now riding an 11-game hit streak. As for Zach Collier, he's been on base twice today, but his hit streak is in danger. You know, late inning games like this where the score isn't all that close, it's time to bring out questions like this. So in 2019, Corey Vaughn, who we talked about earlier, he had a 65-game streak in which he either reached base or drove in a run. Wow. So I personally find that stat to be fantastic, but I also always wondered, is that a little bit of a stretch? I don't necessarily think that it is, because I think that if you're either getting on base or driving in a run, it's fantastic. I mean, I was always of the opinion that, that's unheard of, but what do you think?
I mean, I think it's a good stat to make,
Strike 3 crosses to Alex Crosby, make that strike 2. The umpire made the sign for strike 3, but
that's why I also stopped talking for a second, because I was very certain that it was only a 3-1 count. You can see Alex Crosby just kind of, nonchalantly reminds him that, hey, that's only 2 strikes.
Yeah, some guys might flip their lid in that situation. Crosby very cool about it. High fly so high we can't see it here in the Bayonet press box. Lennon Rodriguez doing a good job moving around, finding that ball, and as a catcher, that's a really tough play. In fact, I'm a little bit surprised he went all the way out there and caught that ball.
Normally on a situation like that, you'd see the third baseman come in because he has a better read on that ball and kind of take control and call you off, but nice job there by Rodriguez, the catcher.
So that brings up the man of the hour, Josh McAdams. He hit a walk-off home run in Game 1, hit a grand slam earlier in this contest. If it wasn't for that grand slam, it would only be a 6-5 Blue Crabs lead. the beautiful thing about baseball. You can have a 3-hour game, but just one swing can alter the entire thing. A nod from the left-hander Paredes. The pitch. Looks like it was a circle change that misses outside. He swipes and catches the ball. 2 balls, no strikes the count. Again, we'd like to promote our social media Saturday coming up tomorrow here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Josh McAdams lifts one to left field, but not too far for Darian Sanford, who actually ends up drifting in and catching on the run. That's how we get through 6 innings of baseball. When we come back in the top of the 7th, it's York's last chance to tie things up. See if Southern Maryland can hold out this lead. Grafer Aregua going back to the mound. We'll be right back right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Matt Latos, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Weiss Markets is a proud sponsor of the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs and has been since their inaugural season in 2008. Weiss Markets also presents one of the Blue Crabs' best and most famous promotions every single year. Kids can get in free to every single Blue Crabs game of every single year simply by wearing a jersey thanks to Weiss Markets. Weiss Markets can help you with all of your game day needs for a great price. Stop in at your local Weiss today. Eat better, spend less. That's wise. Weiss Markets is a proud sponsor of the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. When you need a win on the road, don't get left stranded. Make AAA part of your roster and you'll always have someone on deck ready to get you home. AAA also offers car care, insurance, and travel services, and has stores conveniently located for Blue Crabs fans in Brandywine, Crofton, and Alexandria. Don't forget to ask them about membership discounts for military and first responders. Please visit AAA.com to learn more or to find a AAA location near you.
This is Mike Devine, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Into the top of the 7th we go here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Andrew Banstra alongside my broadcast partner Stevie Bowen. First pitch of this 7th inning drilled to the left side, but curving foul at the last moment. It's a really nice piece of hitting from John Sansone, who's 0 for 2 today. Aregua out for his 2nd inning of work. Things got a little bit tricky for Aregua in the 6th. He did have the bases loaded, but worked around it. And, you know, to come full circle, Stevie, we talk about the ways in which this Blue Crabs team has changed. But you know, the last time they were at home before today, they left at 4-11, and we talked about it over and over again. What we viewed as one of the biggest issues was just the pitchers giving up really big innings to the other team and not having big innings themselves offensively, right? Mm-hmm. Well, look at the scoreboard today as Aregua strikes out Sansone for out number 1.
Very different ball game today.
Absolutely. I mean, Southern Maryland has allowed the Revs to score in 4 different innings, but as long as you're keeping it pretty tight, and not to mention Southern Maryland has 4 errors in this game. So 4 errors and you're allowing runs in 4 innings and you're still winning 10-5. That's a recipe of a team that is able to persevere. Fastball low and away. Swing and a miss. Looks like it's Tyler Hill that is pinch hitting here in the pitcher's spot. Fastball outside corner, strike called by the home plate umpire. A ball and 2 strikes the count. Aregua, long look in home. He's a guy that always looks pretty relaxed out there on the mound, which is generally a good sign. Did he go? Yes, he did, says the home plate umpire. Strike number 3, and the Revs are down to their final out. So what could potentially be the final at bat of this contest rests on the shoulders of Lennon Rodriguez, who now steps into the right-handed batter's box. Rodriguez takes a pitch upstairs for ball number 1. Lennon Rodriguez steps back over dribbler up the middle. Baca gets it on the run. How about the throw? Is it in time? Yes, sirree. What a play from Michael Baca to finish off back-to-back W's from your Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. Game 1 was much tighter than Game 2. In Game 1, Southern Maryland walked it off with a home run in the bottom of the 7th inning. It was a Josh McAdams home run, whereas here in Game 2, Southern Maryland found themselves in a very different circumstance. It was an early Josh McAdams grand slam that changed the course of this entire ball game. We'll step aside for just a moment. Afterwards, we'll get going with the post-game show right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Daryl Thompson, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
In February of 2020, Regency Furniture Stadium and the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs were given what we view as an honor, being named the 4th mass vaccination site in the state of Maryland. Here's a message from Regency Furniture about the honor that it has been and still is to be one of Maryland's mass vaccination sites, getting our community back to safety.
During these times of uncertainty, it helps to know there are things we can control to help ourselves and others.
For me, it presents the hope that soon enough, my friends and family will be together again.
I want to take this moment to thank the Maryland National Guard for their support in helping to facilitate and manage the vaccinations here at the Regency Furniture Stadium. We just think it's so important for everyone to do their part, and we're just grateful for their support.
Thank you for your support, and we're just honored to be a part of the vaccination effort out here and to serve the community.
Whether it's Chris Paul, Cliff Paul, Aaron Rodgers, or even the son of a former Blue Crab, Patrick Mahomes, you've seen many athletes endorsing State Farm. That's because your State Farm agent has your back through good times and not so good times. That's why all the Blue
Welcome into the post-game show right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. We'll run through today's contests here on a doubleheader. Southern Maryland takes both games in a twin bill against the opposing York Revolution. In Game 1, it's a Southern Maryland victory. It was a tight one, a 5-4 win by Southern Maryland back in Game 1. It's a walk-off home run that put a seal on the contest. Game 2 was a little bit different. It was Josh McAdams with a grand slam that changed the trajectory of the entire contest. We run back through a couple of key notes from either of the games. Of course, in Game 1, obviously we talked about McAdams, but another couple of other big contributions were made. One of them, of course, Matt Latos, who got the win. He came in the top of the 7th inning and struck out the side to keep things tied at 4-4. That was critical. Of course, also for Southern Maryland, Josh McAdams had another hit in that contest that made the big difference. The walks were a really big deal for Southern Maryland, who walked 5 times to supplement their 5 hits, giving them 5 runs in the contest. Latos gets the win. Capion gets the loss. He goes down to 0-1. Now for Game 2, of course, Southern Maryland wins 10-5 in the contest. Winning pitcher Kolton Mahoney getting his first win of the year. Bruce Bell with the loss. He falls to 0-2, while the Blue Crabs advance to 13-13 on the season. The Revs drop to 11-15 on the 2021 campaign. That's how we sign off from the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. We'll see you tomorrow at 6:50. Make that, I beg your pardon, 6:20 right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.